Good morning, my cuties. Today is Wednesday, April 8th. Shortcut date is 4/8/20. I'm gonna start off this video with some shout outs of people who made sure that they commented below the YouTube video yesterday to show me that they were done. So I saw that the YouTube video yesterday had 52 views. So I know that more people than the people who are commenting are getting the work done, watching and reviewing their work. However, if you're just liking the video or if you're watching it and not doing anything, I don't know who you are. So I really want you to make sure that you comment your name and done at the end of the video. I also will, throughout the video, sneak in a little extra. Like yesterday I said comment what you'd want to name the dog. So I really know who's listening if you include that as well. But make sure that if you are watching the video that you're putting your name on the bottom so I can give you credit and know that you are doing everything you can to do your best. Shout out to these people, so many people, so many more people than the first time. We have Samuel, Siraj, Audrey, and I also included Eva in here even though she's not in our class because she's been watching our videos. Fernanda, London, Serena, Sage, Mason, Kother, Ahmed, Jim, Tristan, and Monica. She had trouble commenting on the video, but she did email me and that counted as her comment. So if you are struggling to comment, just send me an email to confirm that you did the work. So today we have 2 more lessons in our book for Be the Sun, Not the Salt, which is kind of sad because we're finishing the book, but it's also pretty impressive because we just so happen to time it perfectly that we'll read the last lesson on Friday at the end of the week. Lesson 28 is called Practice, Practice, Practice. It is a myth that practice makes perfect. What you practice makes you better at what you practice. There is no perfect. I heard a story that illustrates this idea. The story is called The Parable of the Two Wolves. Oh, you guys, we've read this poem together. This is so awesome. So this is a shortened version of it, but it says, one evening, a wise old man told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside people. He said, my son, the battle is between 2 wolves inside us all. One is evil, it is anger, envy, jealousy, greed, and arrogance. The other is good, it is peace, love, hope, humility, compassion, and faith. The grandson thought about this for a while and then asked his grandfather, which wolf wins? The old man replied, the one you feed. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is one of our favorite poems that's put into this book. People who are wise already know this. What the old man didn't tell his grandson is that the battle rages daily, moment to moment. If you practice irritation, judgment, and anger, those qualities get stronger as sure as night follows day. Good and evil, kindness and cruelty, wisdom and ignorance. Choose sides, put on your uniform, and get in the game. You get a chance to try again every moment of every day of every year of your life. Just remember, practice increases your chances of winning. And here is the best part. If you lose the game today, you get to play again. If you want to be heliotropic, you must practice. Just as the sun rises to create a new day every 24 hours, you get a chance to try again every moment of every day of every year of your life. I can't believe one of our favorite poems. I forgot to tell you this. Before we dive into today's video, please make sure that you go ahead and pause this if you need to and get a blank piece of paper for an activity at the end, okay? So a blank piece of paper and a pencil. Pause if you need, get a piece of paper, then come back and with all your materials and get ready. We're gonna go over Math Story 8.12 first. This is a classic example of a math story that is really wordy, but if you take the time and the discipline to read through it multiple times, then the math itself, the problem is not that difficult, right? So as long as you think, solve, think, you should have been successful here. So the story says, Edwin uses 4 rolls of green ribbon and 8 rolls of purple ribbon for a project. Each roll of green ribbon has a length of 90 feet. Each roll of purple ribbon has a length of 60 feet. How much more purple ribbon does Edwin use than green ribbon? So the first time I read this, I could not make it my movie because there were so many words, so I just focused on what I was solving for and wrote that at the bottom. How much more purple ribbon does Edwin use than green ribbon? Then I read it again. I read it 2 more times actually, and that allowed me to write my jots at the top left-hand corner of what information is given to me. So I know that there's 4 rolls of green, 8 rolls of purple. Each green roll is equivalent to 90 feet, and each purple roll is equivalent to 60 feet. As you can see here, here's my model for the green. Each roll, there's 4 total, and each has 90 in it. There's 4 groups with 90 in each group. So in order to find the total length of the green ribbon, I did 4 groups of 90 equals 360. The green total length is 360 feet. I did the same thing for the purple side, but with obviously the different dimensions. I have 8 groups of 60 in each, 8 groups of 60. I know 8 times 6 is 48, attach a 0 for place value. Purple equals 480. So now I have the total lengths of both the green and the purple ribbon, but the question is asking me how much more purple ribbon is there than green ribbon? So the first thing I'm thinking is who has more, and I know that is purple because it says that in the question itself. So I know that I can use subtraction as my operation. I color-coded this for you. I had to put purple on top, right, because it has more. Notice how I spaced my numbers out via standard algorithm very smoothly by place value, so I didn't make any mistakes. And my final answer is 120 feet. Now the equation to match the story was a little bit difficult because most likely, just like me, you solved for green first. However, you had to write purple first in the equation because that's what you have more of. So the final equation to match the story would be the purple equation, 8 groups of 60 in parentheses, take away 4 groups of 90 in parentheses equals, and I just chose a variable R for ribbon, but you can do any variable that you want. Yeah? All right, trying to move quickly, drinking lots of coffee. Go ahead and get your math out, please, and open to page 43. The skill that you needed for question 20 for both A and B is 1, math facts, and knowing your 0 through 12, and knowing when to attach a 0 for place value. So for part A, your answer is C, and for part B, your answer is C. I know 3 times 6 equals 18, attach a 0 for place value, 180. I know 3 times 8 equals 24, attach a 0 for place value for 240. This question was awesome. You had to make sure that you wrote the original fraction up here at the top, and you were able to use that information to help you. The answer for number 21 is A. If you got this question wrong, please go back and see what you did and really read through each of those questions carefully. And this question was awesome too because it was seeing who was really focused. It says that these are in equal groups. So we're looking for a total of 20 marbles, yes, and C does have a total of 20 marbles, but they're not placed equally amongst the 4 groups, but D is. So your final answer and correct answer is D. All right, we are rolling. Go ahead and get your ELA book out. I had so much fun with ELA today. I absolutely love grammar questions, and I love those questions where they're asking us about word choice and how to make a story more interesting and more engaging for our reader. Those questions for 20 and 21, where we're finding a better word, those were kind of difficult because a lot of the answer choices made sense. This was really an engagement question, asking which words were the most powerful to use. So I chose D for 20 and I chose A for 21. I chose D for 20 because it tells that the student is learning, right? The student is learning. They're opening this article or this reading to learn about how to care for a kitten, and so teaches what I thought was the best word. Nice, I thought beautiful was the best based on the description that they had below it about the clouds, and it's just the most bold and intense choice for that one. Number 22, the answer is A, because we know that hid is past tense, so watched must be past tense as well. Number 23, the answer is D. We haven't learned a ton about the grammar of quotations, but essentially before you need a speaking quote at the beginning and the end, and then you have a comma before you say who or what character was speaking. Okay, so the answer is D. And number 24, you should have circled Mike's. There should be an apostrophe to show possession before that. Number 25, the answer is B. And number 26, the answers are B and C. You had to read that question carefully because it's asking which two sentences have an error with capitalization. Wow, you guys. 11 minutes, rocked it. Okay, so don't forget about your piece of paper. We're gonna do a little just cute activity after Tales of Despero. Go ahead and get comfy cozy as we get ready to read chapter 33. This chapter is called A Rat Who Knows Her Name. Meg had climbed the dungeon stairs and was preparing to open the door to the kitchen when the rat spoke to her. "May I detain you for a moment?" Meg looked to her left, then to her right. "Down here," said Roscoe. Meg looked at the floor. "Ugh," she said, "but you a rat, ain't you? And didn't the old man just warn me of such?" "Beware of rats," he said. She held up the tray higher so that the light from the candle shone directly on Roscoe and the golden spoon on his head and the red cloak around his neck. "There's no need to panic, none at all," said Roscoe. As he talked, he reached behind his back and using the handle, he raised the soup spoon off his head, much in the manner of a man lifting his hat to a lady. "Ah," said Meg, "a rat with manners." "Yes," said Roscoe. "How do you do?" "My papa had him some cloth much like yours, Mr. Rat," said Meg. "Red like that. He traded me for it." "Ah," said Roscoe, and he smiled a large smile. "Did he really? That's a terrible story. Tragic." Reader, if you will pardon me, we must pause for a moment to consider the great and unusual thing, such a great, unusual, portionless thing this is. Roscoe's voice was pitched perfectly to make its way through the tortuous path of Meg's broken down cauliflower ears. That is to say, dear reader, Miggery so heard, perfect and true, every single word the rat Roscoe uttered. "You have known your share of tragedy," said Roscoe to Meg. "Perhaps it's time for you to make the acquaintance of triumph and glory." "Triumph," said Meg. "Glory?" "Allow me to introduce myself," said Roscoe. "I am Chio Roscoe. Friends call me Roscoe. And your name is Miggery So. And it is true, it is true, is it not, that most people simply call you Meg?" "A rat who knows my name. Miss Miggery, my dear, I do not want to appear too forward so early in our acquaintance, but may I inquire, am I right in asserting that you have aspirations?" "What do you mean, aspirations?" shouted Meg. "Miss Miggery, there's no need to shout, none at all. As you can hear me, I can hear you. We are two perfectly suited, each to each other." Roscoe smiled again, displaying a mouthful of sharp yellow teeth. "Aspirations, my dear, are those things that you would like, that you would make a serving girl who might happen to want to be a princess." said Meg, "A princess is exactly what I want to be." "There is, my dear, a way to make that happen. I believe that there is a way to make that dream come true." "You mean that I could be the Princess P?" "Yes, your highness," said Roscoe, and he swept the spoon off his head and bowed deeply at the waist. "Yes, your most royal Princess P." "Said Meg. May I tell you my plan? May I illustrate for you how we can make your dream of becoming a princess reality? Yes, said Mig, yes. It begins, said Roscoe, with yours truly and the chewing of a rope. Mig held the tray with one small candle burning bright, and she listened to the rat as he went on, speaking directly to the wish in her heart. So passionately did Roscoe speak, and so intently did the serving girl listen, that neither noticed as the napkin on the tray moved. Nor did they hear the small mouse-like noises of disbelief and outrage that issued from the napkin as Roscoe went on, unfolding step by step his diabolical plan to bring the princess to darkness. Boom, boom. So what mouse do you think was on the tray, hiding in the napkin? All right, so we just finished book 3. Book 4 that will start tomorrow is the 4th book that's called Recalled to the Light. So things are really starting to intertwine. I know that once we started reading book 2, things were a little bit confusing, but now that we're on to book 4, things are starting to make sense altogether. Okay, so one of my friends is in school right now, social work school, and she actually did this in her college class yesterday. Her college professor told her to do this, but I thought it would be fun for us to do as well because we're just as smart as college kids, right? So her professor told them all to get a piece of paper, and for 1 minute, they're gonna write down just any frustration that they have. So it could be connected to coronavirus, it could be connected to the fact that we can't go to school, it could be really anything you want, doesn't have to be the same as everyone else. So I want you to just think of anything that has been bothering you recently and write it down on this piece of paper. We have 1 minute and I'm gonna participate too. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, that's time. I'm sure I could have written down much more than I did, but it's also nice to kind of have a limit on your frustrations and just kind of focus on the first ones that come to your mind. So things that I wrote down that are frustrating me right now is that I can't hug my students, that I can't teach my students in person, that Dr. Weiss is working with COVID patients, that kind of scares me. That the world feels scary right now, and I really miss going out to eat. So those are the things that I wrote down. I'm interested to hear what you wrote down as well. But once you have your list, go ahead and fold up your piece of paper. And you have 15 seconds to just rip it apart. Ready, set, go. All right, so I hope that felt therapeutic for you. I hope that you find so many more reasons to smile than to be frustrated today. In your comment, please comment your name and done, and one thing that you are smiling about today. All right, have a wonderful Wednesday. I can't wait to read book 4 of Tales of Despero tomorrow.